Ladies and gentlemen, would you please rise for the playing of
the Sibling Rivalry Baseball Podcast.
And here's your host, Jana, and her big brother, Jeff. Sibling Rivalry Baseball Podcast is in your ears, and we have a lot of stuff this week. And it seemed like when I thought I'd gotten everything, or at least a good portion, more stuff came in. So we got to get all that. Before that, we're just coming out of a long weekend. Did you do anything fun this weekend?
Yeah, we went and took advantage of National Cinema Day and got tickets $3 a piece. Never saw that many people at the movies like ever, even pre-pandemic, and went and saw Jaws in 3D.
Oh, awesome.
So
Any
it was
moments where you jumped because he came right at you, or?
Yeah, many times.
Oh, okay.
When he came, and then there's a scene where Richard Dreyfuss's character goes down, and he finds a boat, and a guy's head comes out because he's been attacked by Jaws. There was somebody who screamed in the
sweet
in the theater.
That's what I want to see. That's like that. That's good 3D right there. We saw Jurassic Park in 3D, the new one, and there wasn't the movie was okay, but there was no part of it where I thought that the Velociraptor was coming to get me.
Yeah, this was really well done, especially for a movie that's 47 years old and that they had to convert to 3D. Yeah. So, it was a lot of fun. How about you?
Well, I wanted to go to movies that day because I want to take advantage of, $3 movies. Plus, everybody had $3 large popcorns and $3 large drinks and stuff. And instead, I went to a baseball game.
What?
And sat in a suite.
Yeah, you'll have to tell us all about that during the Silver Linings segment.
Yes, Silver Lining segment. And then one other question I meant to ask you last week. Heard any good music lately?
Yeah, pretty good. My son, his band Stankenstein, put out their first album. It is also called Stankenstein.
Self-titled.
Yes, self-titled debut, and very cool cover. Has a lot of people say it has very 70s vibe to it.
Yeah, I was looking to see if Boz Scaggs or Little River Band were on the cover with them when I saw that.
Yeah, he plays guitar. Very proud of him. And and of they're a group of kids. They're, the lead singer's 17, and they're all, 17, 18. I think the oldest is maybe 23. So.
What's he doing with all those young kids? He's old.
That's right. He's so old.
Yeah, check them out. They're on Spotify, among others of the different music platforms, streaming platforms. So grab yourself an unofficial sponsor of Sibling Rivalry Baseball Podcast, a Dr. Pepper or a Diet Dr. Pepper, and ice cold preferably, and settle in because we got some work to do. The 2023 schedules are out for spring training and the regular season, and there is some differences. Spring training, not so much, but there are some differences connected to the regular season. So we'll go through that, but first, let's talk a little bit about two things that will happen before the regular season. Number one, spring training, and number two, the World Baseball Classic. Spring training fires up on the 25th of February. The Angels will open up with the Mariners at the Mariners Field up in Peoria. I've been there. And then the Dodgers will be at the Brewers to start spring training. And it'll run all the way through the end of March when the Angels and the Dodgers will play 3 for the Freeway Series. This year it looks like it's 2 in Anaheim and 1 at the Ravine for the Dodgers. And then we've got the World Baseball Classic. We've been talking last week. You mentioned some of the players that are coming along. I do know that Andrew Friedman has an opinion about the World Baseball Classic. He's not for Dodger pitchers being part of the World Baseball Classic. He wants the Dodger pitchers to stay away from it. He can't stop them, but he wants them to not participate.
Well, you mentioned spring training, and the World Baseball Classic is happening right in the middle of spring training. It's like March 8th through the 21st.
Correct.
So I could totally see why he would not want any pitchers to be participating. And I really think any players, to be honest, but maybe they're using it as, that's their spring training. But I don't know. I think it's a weird time to have it right in the middle. Then so it's 21st, then they have a few more games, and then March 30th is the beginning of the season.
Right, opening day, everybody's supposed to be playing, weather permitting. And the one thing that they haven't done with the new schedule is figured out no northern tier teams playing at home. Everybody should be in the South or in a dome.
And I was going to say, when you said weather permitting, it's like we're talking about you, Minnesota.
Exactly. So with the World Baseball Classic, we've got Taichung, Tokyo, Phoenix, and Miami are the 4 host cities. You do have some qualifiers that have to take place in order to get in, because there are teams that already made it. However, there will be qualifying rounds, and I think there's 4 pools for that, A, B, C, and D. And Pool A is in Germany. Pool B will be down in Panama. Pool C is in Phoenix. And then Pool D will be played in Miami. Top 2 qualifiers from the Pool A and Pool B will get into Pool C and Pool D. And then you have quarterfinals and semifinals, and the championship will be played once again down in Miami. At what is it? I don't know what the name of their field is. It's like cheat me out of my money loan company or something like that. I'm not real sure.
Is it? I know I was still saying Tropicana, but
it's like Loan Depot.
Loan Depot, I think is right. I think it's Loan Depot Park, Arena, Stadium.
It's Home Depot, or not Home Depot, Loan Depot Park.
Okay, Loan Depot Park.
All right. The U.S. is going to start their play around the 11th of March, and they will be in Phoenix with Canada, Mexico, Colombia, and then whoever is one of the WBC qualifiers.
We've also had some more players that have opted in. Trey Turner, Will Smith have all said they are going to play. Carlos Correa is playing for Puerto Rico. Marcus Stroman, also Puerto Rico. Edwin Diaz, I think, is the latest to join the Puerto Rican team. Ian Kinsler is going to be managing the team from Israel. And Mike Piazza is managing the team from Italy.
And he picked up a couple of players, David Fletcher being one of them, and Max Stassi. He got 2 Angels. And I guess the thing is that somewhere in their family tree, I think it was David Fletcher's grandfather. One of his grandfathers is Italian, full-blooded Italian, so that made him qualified to play for
I was going to say,
team.
Fletcher is not an Italian name that I know of.
No, but his mom maybe is like, Giacomo or
right.
I don't know. What's a crazy Italian name?
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, well, and that's
Bertolucci.
That's a thing. That is one of the criticisms of the World Baseball Classic is you do have players on teams from other countries that, because they have ancestry, they're able to play on, an Italian team or whatever it may be. I don't really care, But
instead of the Italians having a bunch of Italians,
right,
they have, well, and that kind of, I guess, evens things out because, when I'm looking through this, I don't see any team from France.
I was just thinking about France.
Oh, that's right, because they're doing the World Breakdancing Classic at the same time.
Yes, for qualifying for the Olympics.
Right.
They're all in on breakdancing. No baseball.
Anyway, so we'll continue to look at that as it gets closer, and then once it happens, we'll talk about it next season when we start. Well, maybe we'll have to start a little earlier so we can have a WBC wrap-up edition before we hit opening day, I guess. So the big thing is every team is scheduled to play on opening day this season. Now, that hasn't always happened in the past. I remember one time there was one team that played. I remember, and I always go back to this, but I remember in 2002, we went to opening day. The Angels and the Indians opened, and they were the only game that day. Everybody else started the next day. And now you have more teams, but sometimes some teams will start on Thursday, some will start on Friday, some will play Thursday, then have Friday off, and then continue playing. You might even have a wraparound series right at the beginning. Woo! The one big thing, what was the one big thing when you started looking at this that stood out to you about this new scheduling format? It's still 162 games, so that didn't change.
Yeah, that didn't change, but the biggest thing that stood out to me is it's going to be, you're not going to rotate interleague play. Everybody plays everybody. And
what they call a balanced schedule, or not completely, but kind of a balanced schedule.
Yeah, kind of. And I didn't realize when I first saw it, I was like, really? Come on. To me, I'd rather just get back. American League plays American League, National League plays National League, and then have the true World Series, where the two teams have not seen each other. That's what I would like. I don't think that's ever going to come back. But I did not know that this whole balanced season was because of the new CBA, the collective bargaining agreement. That was, yeah. They agreed.
I guess I read
this.
over that. I skipped over that part in my reading.
Yeah, I was like, really? They agreed to this? But
well, there is. I mean, from the one side of it, from a fan side, imagine how often you would get to see Shohei if the current rotation. You're not going to see him for a lot of years. And think about, like, everybody was all big about when Pujols finally went back to St. Louis. It was like 6 years before he rotated back through and played there. St. Louis had come and played in Anaheim. And now you're going to do, the only times, like, a lot of these will be just short 2-game series, home and away against every team, except for like the natural rivalries. The Dodgers and the Angels will play 4 total games versus, or versus one small set here or there. So you're still going to see your team in the division play more often, but instead of 19 times a season, I think it's 13 times now.
mm-hmm.
And then, so from that standpoint, what you're talking about makes sense, but it will only make sense when they add teams so that each division has 16 teams instead of the 15 that are currently there.
Yeah.
And then you can go there, because before it was uneven. One of the AL had like 14 teams and the NL had 16 teams. And then they swapped things around, and that's when the Asterisks became an American League team versus a National League team, all those different changes. The Brewers at one time and they changed that for different reasons, but they were an American League team, became a National League team.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. I think it is more, I guess, fan friendly in the sense that you would be able to see those bigger stars like Shohei Ohtani. Mike Trout comes to mind. I think he's been to Philadelphia. He's played in Philadelphia maybe 3 times. something like that, possibly. The 3 seems to stick out to me. And that's where he's from, or that's the closest, he's from New Jersey. But so you get to see, one that stands out to me is Mookie Betts. He hasn't been to Boston. He hasn't been back to Boston since he became a Dodger. So he will be going back to Boston in August of next year with the Dodgers.
There will still be a fair amount of intra-league games. So the American League playing, the other divisions, whatever. But they dropped it by 2 total games to 64 intra-league games. So you'll play 32 at home and 32 away. And then 6 games against 6 league opponents, 7 games against 4 other league opponents. And then the interleague will still happen, but it's kind of thrown differently. Like I said, you'll play the home and home series for 4 total games. So like Yankees, Mets, Dodgers, Angels, Cubs, White Sox, as we mentioned before. And then the interleague, 46 interleague games where Nationals playing American League games. And that's like almost doubled from before. But of course that's going to happen because everybody's got to play each other at some point in time. So one thing on this schedule that wasn't something that happened this year, every team will play on the 4th of July next season. And there was a lot of criticism about that. The Angels were off. The Cards and the Cubs will play, as we talked about before, a 2-game series in London in June. And Phillies and Nationals are at the Little League Classic. San Francisco and San Diego will be playing the game in Mexico City. So it's going to be an interesting season when you look at, like right now, when we look at what's happened at the end of this season, a lot of the teams are playing just their interdivisional rivals. And then there's one team that's not as we get towards the end of the season. Next year, we'll see so many different matchups. It won't be like, okay, didn't we just play the Padres or the Asterisks or, whomever? It's going to be really thrown all over the place for that. The Dodgers open up the season versus the D-backs on March 30th. Then they play the Rockies. Then they play the D-backs. And then they play San Francisco.
Yeah. And, when I heard it's going to be, they play all 30 teams. So you're thinking, oh, maybe for opening day, you'd get something different. This is really not anything different. The Dodgers usually
It's not San Francisco.
It's not San Francisco, but the last 2 years they've played the Rockies. This year or next year, they're going to be opening up at home versus the Diamondbacks. The Angels open on the road versus the A's.
Right, which they've done a lot of times in the last few seasons. Then they play the Mariners, but that's when things change for them, and they play the Blue Jays and the Nationals.
Yeah, so I don't know. I think they could have made opening day just really instead of making it where you're playing a team within your division, and I don't know if that's all the games, but looking at Dodgers and Angels, I thought they could have really, Dodgers and Yankees or, something out there that was unexpected, I guess, as an opening day to make it more exciting. Whereas it's like, oh, yay, the Dodgers are going to play the Diamondbacks. Woo!
Yeah, I would think that there would be at least a couple of those kind of series, but
no, there's not.
Well, we're finding with MLB that it's all about baby steps. And we'll bring up what that means when we get into around baseball. It'll be fun to kind of look through and see what, how it all plays out with the different travel schedules now, going to every ballpark. At least, so there's people who try to do that, go to all 30 ballparks in the season. Now the players will.
Yeah, so they could, have a map on their wall and put the pin in, or
While
whatever.
Johnny Cash's song is playing in the background. I've been everywhere, man. I've
Yeah.
been everywhere.
I mean, really, when we get down to it, it's all about money. That's what it's all about. But we're just glad that baseball, will be back.
Yeah, that's right now. It looks like we're not going to have any reasons why it will be delayed. There's no, they've got an agreement in place, so that's good. Apparently, one of the things that they looked at with all of this too is that it might balance out the wild card race a little bit more. That's one of the things that they think will happen. So will it? Don't know.
Well, and also I did hear, or I did read that you have teams that are playing. So the Orioles would be a good example. They're consistently playing teams that are over 500. And then that's the majority of their games because they're in the division with the Yankees and, that division. But then you have like the Mariners who are making a run, and they're playing teams. A lot of the times they're playing teams under 500.
Right.
So it balances that out.
You're not going to play Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, Detroit, Oakland so many times in your division that you can, I guess, get fat off of that and build up your records.
I guess so. And that would probably be if you were looking specifically at the Central in the American League and the National League, because those divisions have always been the weaker divisions.
Right. The other thing that's kind of cool is that whatever the World Series matchup is, not for this season, obviously. Well, no, for this season too. So whoever goes to the World Series this year, there will be a matchup between those two teams at some point next season.
So revenge. It's the revenge.
Yeah, revenge series.
Yeah, the revenge series.
So there you go. That's a preview of what to expect on next season, our 4th season of Sibling Rivalry Baseball Podcast.
It's time for Dodger Baseball.
Before we get started on what happened with the Dodgers, just want to remind you of where you can find us on social media. We're on Twitter at Sibling Rivalry BB without the A.
And on Facebook and Instagram at Sibling Rivalry BB with the A.
And of course, you can head over to our website, siblingrivalrybb.com. Check out the Fanatics link and get yourself some gear, especially as we're heading into this last month. Now, last week I said something that I guess I didn't update myself because at one point MLB said no more expanding the rosters in September. And I thought that went through, but it did not. They expanded by 2 roster spots just for the remainder of the regular season, which we've got about a month left of, because they extended into October a week because of the lockout. Now there'll be 2 extras. Who was it? James Outman or Vargas, and who was the pitcher that got called up? And he could have been called up just because pitchers are going down left and right with the Dodgers. Rosters expand. You've got 2 more players, so a lot of teams are bringing up a couple of guys that they want to go through. Obviously, the teams that are kind of out of everything are probably bringing up players they want to see what they can do at this level or give them a little taste of it. The Dodgers, based on their issues, are probably going to be rotating through guys to take those other 2 spots. You can only have up to 14 pitchers. And right now, it feels like the Dodgers are pitching depleted.
Yeah, I think that is got to be the biggest worry for me as a fan of the Dodgers is the pitching. We talked about Tony Gonsolin last week. Talk about him again this week. He did have the MRI. They said he wasn't going to have the MRI, but he did have the MRI. Now the MRI did show, nothing bad. I guess no structural damage, no concern, but he still has to get back into a throwing program. David Price, is out right now with a sore wrist. And then you've got guys that are, they've been pitching, and, Evan Phillips, who's been great, comes in and doesn't look so great sometimes. You're not Craig Kimbrell, not consistent. So there's just a lot of stuff, with the starters, that you're not like, yes, this is who we're going to go with, because you don't know, are they going to be in the rotation? Are they going to be in the bullpen? And how does that all play out? And can you, how many starts are you going to get out of them? I don't know. It's just pitching is so important. And I wish that Andrew Friedman had maybe made that more of a priority during the trade deadline.
He kind of put all of his eggs in one basket with what the expectations were of everybody coming off of the IL at one time. And then you find out Walker Buehler's not coming back. And he wasn't necessarily like, yeah, he's going to be back. That's great. We're counting on this. But there was a pretty good chance. We'll talk about Clayton Kershaw, who did come back. A couple of the other guys that I think they thought were going to come back, there's nothing's sure. They got, what's his name? Danny Duffy. He's not thrown a single pitch for them. And there's no guarantee at this point. It doesn't even look like he's going to be able to come through and do it this season.
Yeah. I mean, and you have Victor Gonzalez, who's been doing rehab in Oklahoma City. Tommy Conley, who did pitch, but then, he's been back and forth. He has looked good in his rehab starts, or in Oklahoma City, if you want to call it the rehab starts. There's just so much uncertainty. And I don't think that you can just rely on your offense, because as it proved in New York, that does not always work.
No, not at all. So let's talk about what happened with the Dodgers in New York. They left Miami, went up and saw the Mets in a battle of the top two teams in the National League. The Dodgers would then return home to take on the Padres. And I think a lot of people expected much different from both of these series. The Padres series based on what happened with the Mets, and they expected a little bit different in New York as well. Game one saw Andrew Heaney on the mound, somebody that the Dodgers are going to have to lean on pretty heavily, I think, based on what we're seeing and what we were just talking about.
Yeah, Andrew Heaney on the mound, goes 5 innings, gives up 7 hits, 3 runs. But the biggest thing that we're seeing with him is the home runs. He gave up 2 home runs in this game. And it's like, you can't be doing that, because you can't say, oh, it's a home run. Mookie or Trey or Freddie or Will or Trace or, will hit one.
Right.
And so that's been an issue. The bullpen, they had Heath Hembree came up and pitched an inning, gave up 2 hits, but no runs. Of course, Alex Vesia and Evan Phillips have been really, you can rely on those guys. And then Jake Reed, this one is a puzzle to me. Jake Reed was with the Mets, and then the Dodgers got him. He got his first save in this game. The Dodgers win this game 4-3. And he is super excited. He pitched really well. And then they DFA him. I'm like, what?
Right.
Especially when you need guys that can pitch. And he looked like he could pitch. But I don't get paid the big bucks to make those decisions,
No, you
but
just have a podcast where you spout out your opinions for free.
I do, just for free. But Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman, Trace Thompson all had doubles in this game. It was a good game. If you look at it's a 4-3 game. It's like, okay, this is good. Dodgers are on top. They were getting hits where they needed. Only one that, really was, Trey Turner, who was 0 for 5.
Which is odd.
Which is odd. But then you look, Max Muncy, he gets a walk. But yeah, Gavin Lux, who was 2 for 4. Trace Thompson was 2 for 4. Cody Bellinger, what are we going to do with Cody? You want to be a believer, but you just, it's hard.
And that'll do it for this week's Sibling Rivalry. Really, you went there.
I went there. But, okay, so Dodgers win the first game. You're like, all right, it looks good.
Yeah,
the only
Taijuan Walker was on the mound for the Mets, and Starling Marte and Mark Canha, former Oakland A, both went yard for the Mets. Just kind of showing them what the Mets have.
Yeah, because these are two good teams, and that's what the Mets said. Hey, we're a good team, and we want to show them we're a good team. And the next night, not such a good feeling when you have Jacob deGrom on the mound, who pitches 7 innings, gives up 3 hits, 1 run, strikes out 9, does give up a home run to Mookie, but that's it. Now, it was a 2-1 game, so it was low scoring. deGrom kept the Dodgers where they weren't, they only got the 1 run. But Tyler Anderson, in the same vein, he gave up a home run also. Didn't have as many strikeouts, but kept New York to 2 runs. So it's a good matchup.
Over 7 innings, gave up the 8 hits, gave up that home run. Second night in a row, Starling Marte.
Yep.
And then Lindor and Nimmo, both 2 for 4, as they take that one. Freddie and Trey. Freddie with a hit, Trey without, but he did have a stolen base. He did get on. And who did I hear? Oh, no, it wasn't about Trey. Moving on.
Well, as I say, Brandon Nimmo had that fabulous catch. That robbed JT of a home run that would have tied the game. So it really felt like a playoff atmosphere, especially when Edwin Diaz comes out. They had Timmy Trumpet there, who is his walkout song is called Narco, and he was there live playing the trumpet. Mr. and Mrs. Met were playing the trumpet. I mean, it was like
really electric.
World. Yeah. I mean, if that's postseason, that's what it feels like. And the crowd, I mean, not quite the same. I know the Dodger fans love Let It Go when Craig Kimbrell comes out because they all sing, but it's not the same when you got that trumpet going.
No.
I mean, I watched that probably, I saw it, watched it happen. And then I watched it several times after because I was like, this is so cool.
Right. It was pretty incredible. Some about Tyler Anderson before we move on to Game 3 and the return of Clayton is, he has 42 career victories. 31% of them are from this season. He's got 13 on the season.
Well, Tyler Anderson probably could have gotten a little bit more money from another team, but he wanted to pitch for the Dodgers. And it has worked out really well for him because I think when you look at the pitching coach, Mark Pryor worked with Rick Honeycutt, who is a longtime pitching coach. But then you also have within the organization, you've got guys like Oral Hershiser, the Bulldog, that come to spring training and help these guys. You've got D-Train, you've got, Dontrell Willis, and they really put them on a program. And so if you want to become a better pitcher, I think seems like the Dodgers are the place to go, especially if you're, like a Tyler Anderson down on your luck, you're pitching for the Rockies.
So we moved to Game 3, final of this series and for the season series. The Mets throw former A's pitcher Chris Bassett, and the Dodgers welcome back Clayton Kershaw.
Yeah, everybody's excited about Kershaw Day. First inning, not so excited. Not excited at all. Gave up 3 walks, and it's like, who is this? Is this Clayton Kershaw? Charlie Kershaw?
Charlie
standing
would have
in
only
for
given up 1 walk.
That's right. He probably would have. But he gets out of the first inning and looks better. He only goes 5 innings, but he gives up 1 hit, those 3 walks, but had 6 strikeouts. So it got better. He was able to reverse course. The problem was Chris Martin and Caleb Ferguson, who, give up the runs, but also it doesn't help when you have errors,
Right.
defensive errors. Mookie Betts, Gavin Lux, who's got it, and it just drops. The ball drops, infield hit. That was a big one. Or, okay, another Gavin Lux, who's running to first base. You need to know this. And if it's Starling Marte, you need to get that ball out of your glove fast. He doesn't. He just, he was back to his lackadaisical, just throw it over there. Well, he beats it out. Another, infield hit. So just a lot of errors that were, miscues, misplays. And I think that's really what helped the Mets win. And they won 5-3.
Chris Bassett goes 6 innings, gives up 6 hits, 2 runs, strikes out 4. Nimmo, Marte, Lindor, and Ruff, as well as Canna, all have at least an RBI. In fact, they all have 1 RBI to power the Mets pass. But what I see through all of this is that last game, the Dodgers more or less beat themselves. More than
I
the
would
game
totally
before
agree with that.
it's Jacob deGrom. And
what do?
you write that day, you go out and do your best. He's not unhittable. He can be hit, and there was a home run in that game. He did give that up. So, I mean, there's a lot of different things that can happen, but it does set the stage that the Dodgers have to be on top of it when playing the Mets.
Yeah, there's no room for error with them because they were taking advantage of every little thing. And you get them going, they're very similar to the Dodgers. Terrence Gore, who did play for the Dodgers, I think he's played for, almost all the teams, it seems like.
Wasn't he a Padre? Isn't that where they got him?
He was, and but he's a Met now, and he hardly has any hits, but he has, tons of stolen bases, and he set up, he stole second, and that set up, runs for the Mets. And so they've got those like I said, it's very similar to how the Dodgers play. So the Dodgers really, I hope if they look at this series, they'll, like you said, don't beat yourself. You got to beat the team you're playing.
While they were looking messy, and Dodgers Nation was like, uh-oh.
That's it.
And especially because of what's happening with the pitching staff. Brusdar Graterol was up in the morning and was back on the IL by the afternoon, it felt like.
Mm-hmm.
You still have these other pitchers. Blake Trinan finally comes back. You had Clayton finally come back. But you still, Tony's down. You've lost Walker. All these different things. How do you get there? And it really falls on the shoulders of the offense and the bullpen to keep things moving. And I think we're kind of in a bad spot with them because they're very close to clinching the NL West. And on one side, that's a really good thing because then they can rest some people. They can play with some different combinations of things and see what to do, see how it works. But that's also a good way for complacency to set in. And when you get to the playoffs, you don't have that same fire that they've been playing with.
Yeah, and we don't want to see that because we've seen that before. That I think 2019 sticks out for me as a postseason where Dodgers were just really good during the season, and then the postseason, they played the Nationals, and it was like, we're here. The Nationals were playing all heart. We're winning every game, and the Dodgers were just kind of there. We don't want to see that again. I don't want to see a repeat of that.
No, not at all. All right, so the Dodgers head home. They've got the Drags for 3, and Dustin May on the hill for his third start since his return.
Yeah, Dustin May on the hill goes 5 innings, gives up 4 hits, 6 runs, does 5 walks, 5 strikeouts, 2 home runs. Just did not look comfortable on the mound. He just didn't look good.
Hanser Alberto on the mound in that game as well. Went 1 inning, gave up a hit, walked 2, but no runs given up. Yu Darvish looked pretty decent, and over 7 innings, only gave up 2 hits, no runs, and struck out 9.
Well, especially when you have Mookie, Freddie, 0 for 3. Trey Turner had the night off, or as he said, he was getting benched. He asked, am I getting benched? So he was out of the lineup, but 0 for 3, Mookie, 0 for 3, Freddie, 0 for 3, Smith, and Muncy gets a hit out of all the people. Like, really? He's the one. And then JT was 2 for 4 in that game.
After 3 losses in a row, the last 2 to the Mets, the first one in this series to the Drags, the sky is falling in Dodger Town. The Dodger world is coming apart at the seams.
That's right. Everything is collapsing around us.
The sky isn't just falling, and we know that Vin wouldn't do this, but Tommy would. Tommy Lasorda is throwing chunks of sky at the players, at the manager, at the organization. Branch Rickey is probably saying, Andrew Friedman, what are you doing?
What is wrong with you? Get it together, man.
And so all of the questions, and we'll talk about some of those questions after we talk about what happened with the rest of the series with the Drags. But all these questions coming up, is that it for the Dodgers? Are we writing the Dodgers off? What about this player? What about this player? You and I had questions back and forth. And what did the Dodgers do? They shut us up.
Yeah, they sure did. Julio Urias is on the mound for this game, goes 6 innings, gives up 2 hits, 1 run, 3 walks, 2 strikeouts, only 2 strikeouts, does give up a home run, but looked good.
Really, I think we've talked a lot about Tony Gonsolin kind of being the ace this year, but silently for the last few years, the best pitcher on the Dodgers has been Julio Urias. Better than Walker, better than Clayton, better than Tony Gonsolin. It's been Julio Urias.
Yeah. He's fun to watch on the mound. I love watching him, especially when he doesn't get the call he wants. And he's like, oh, okay, all right. Kind of look on his face.
See how this is going.
Yeah. But then he's been doing it all season. Yeah. Under the radar.
If it wasn't,
we take him for granted, I think.
We do, because how often do we talk about Julio? Julio had a good outing. Okay, we got to win. Move on to the next one. Oh, I can't believe that Tyler Anderson did this, or Tony Gonsolin did this, or what's going on with the bullpen. whatever.
Yeah.
All of those pieces, and I think we're so spoiled with the Dodgers that we don't look and remember, number one, they're the only team as of the weekend with 90 wins.
Yeah.
The Asterix, I think, are the next closest to that.
Yep.
The Mets, and who knows, I think something's going to happen with the Mets here because there's a lot going on in the East. We'll talk a little bit more about that in Around Baseball, but they went off. They said, "Oh, you guys think it's over for us? Mookie, show them how it's done."
Yeah, triple home run in this game. 2 for 4. Trey Turner, after being benched. No, he just got the night off, but he wants to play every game. Hits a 2-run home run. Will Smith with a double home run. JT with a home run. Hanser Alberto chugging around the bases for triple. And then, of course, Cousin there, 2 for 3 with a double. And then Alberto closes the game.
That's almost a Shohei night.
I know. He is.
I got a triple and I pitched an inning.
Yes.
Okay, so Shohei would have pitched 8.
Yeah.
But still.
But he got his
Shohei's
first
a
strikeout.
starter. Hanser is a reliever.
Yes, he is. He is becoming a two-way player, and he got his first strikeout. First strikeout. I think they kept the ball.
Josh Bell?
Yes. Caught him looking.
That was a wicked pitch. It really was a good pitch. It's like, I guess he's actually starting to work on that. Maybe they've got him taking bullpen sessions.
Maybe, and I think it's not an unknown. Before they would say type of pitch and it would be unknown, 63 miles per hour. I think there's actually maybe he's, getting some sliders. I don't know about a slider, maybe a fastball.
That pitch that he threw had a little groove to it that he threw to strike out Josh Bell. Don't forget the big double F, 3 for 3 in that game. And Manny Machado is the player that gave up or hit the home run that Julio gave up. Manny may not be Mr. Hustle, but he's been Mr. Consistency for sure, and he's definitely put himself in the MVP talk for the Padres and become their leader.
Yeah, I mean, I think somebody has to be the leader in that clubhouse dugout.
Well, and he's not afraid to call out Tatis. He's like, hey, he's our teammate. We support him, but he's the guy that said we're doing it without him. What's 85 more games or 80 more games?
Right, exactly. And he really believes in himself, has good self-esteem.
Yes.
With his quotes.
Yes. So that takes us to game 3 that was supposed to be Andrew Haney, right? Was supposed to start the third game in this series, but due to some changes, not necessarily because of Andrew Haney.
Right, which was my initial reaction because that it seems to be what's going on with the Dodger pitching. Is it always seems to be he scratched what's wrong? This time, no, just some tweaking.
Yeah, not that he had anything tweaking.
No.
He didn't tweak a muscle or anything. They just needed to reset how the rotation was going. He gets an extra day off. And we get to see something we haven't really seen this year, but we saw a ton of last year.
Yeah,
in a bullpen game.
Yeah, bullpen game. It kind of became the Dodgers thing, seemed like. But yeah, we hadn't seen it. Caleb Ferguson started the game. 3 strikeouts right there. First inning,
Sweet.
3 strikeouts. Ryan Pepio comes in, and that was how they were going to do. I thought they were going to do like Pepio, but then they decided, no, we'll do Ferguson, Pepio, and then go down the line. So,
and Pepio's the only one that pitched more than like an inning of the third. He went 2 innings in that. Everybody else was kind of like just an inning here. Heath Hembry went 1 1/3. He gave up 2 runs.
Yeah, and uncharacteristic of Evan Phillips, but he gave up 2 hits and a run. And but then Phil Bickford came in and looked really good. And Craig Kimbrell, who since changing his walk-in music to Let It Go, has pitched like scoreless innings. And I think he's keeping it.
He might as well. It's working.
Yeah. And everybody, you know, they love it. You see the fans get really into it. So it's cathartic for him, I think. But this game was Dodgers end up winning 9-4, but they had to work for it.
Yeah. Because it didn't look like it was going to be a win at one point.
Yeah. But when you're looking through here, Will Smith had a home run. Trace Thompson, another 3-run home run as a pinch hitter. But Max Muncy, 4 strikeouts in this game. 4. He did get a hit, but he had 4 strikeouts. So
see, there you go. Focusing on the strikeouts and not the fact that he actually got a hit.
Well,
that's a positive for Max.
And he did score a run, and so that's good. But yeah, I mean, but Freddie Freeman 0 for 5 in this game.
Yeah,
so
that was
really uncharacteristic. Mookie Betts had 2 doubles in this game. Trey Turner had a double, sorry, and then JT with a double. So, but like I said, it looked like the Padres were going to pull this game out, that they were going to win.
A couple of errors on Trey Turner, completely uncharacteristic of what he normally does. Yeah. So that didn't help matters. It wasn't like they were shut down. Mike Clevenger just went a little over 3 innings, gave up 5 runs on 4 hits. Of course, Soto, Bell, and Cronenworth. Oh, and Profar, all 2 RBIs, 2 hits. Or not all of them, but 2 RBIs, 2 hits apiece for all of them. Profar had 2 RBIs, and then you had a smattering here and there. And there's one name we didn't hear a whole lot when we talk about any of these games. Juan Soto's name did not come up. He's been slumping pretty hard.
Yeah, a lot of people are questioning his decision to not take the offer from the Nationals, which was for me, it was pretty good offer, right? It's like $400 million or something like that over so many years. Yeah, but
it wasn't like they're just going to give it to me. If I play the lottery and win, I can get that $400 million in a night. That's not like a big deal.
But
he's got to do it over like 12 years or something.
Right. So, I mean, and maybe he was like, everybody has left me. Scherzer's not here. My best buddy, Trey, is not here.
And he's probably not coming back. I mean, it's not Trey's fault he's not there.
Right. Because he got traded. But,
and Juan can still leave and get a big contract. He could still come to the Dodgers and play with Trey. That's assuming Trey gets his an extension.
Yes, which everybody wants. We all want it. But yeah, you're not hearing that. His OPS is down. He's still getting, walks, but that's about it. He's just.
There was an interesting moment. Mookie is mic'd up, Sunday night game. And which was this game, and so they're talking to Mookie and they ask about Soto, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I wish I could. I had his eye." Mm-hmm. And then a little exchange between Mookie and Juan when Mookie's coming back in, and just asked him for his eyes. He's, "No, I'm going to need those, but if you teach me how to hit,"
yeah,
he goes,
right, I need your
"Okay,
bat.
I'll give you my bat if you give me your eyes."
That's right.
So they had a little deal there. And then the introduction of the magic number. Hadn't really heard anybody say anything, but as of Sunday, the magic number was 9.
9, yes. And the Dodgers have San Francisco coming in this week, and then they head to San Diego for the weekend. So it could be they could wrap it up with these games.
They can do that. They pretty much finish out the month with, or the rest of the season with only NL West foes, with the exception of the fact that Tio Albert will be making his final trip to Dodger Stadium as a player late in September. And I think as I mentioned, that's one of the games I'm going to for Cuz bobblehead night.
Yeah. And for Tio Alberto.
Primarily for him.
Yeah.
Bonus is I get a Cuz bobblehead.
Exactly.
So before we talk about our players of the week for here, and you'd brought up Poncer Alberto. I was just looking at because there was a tweet or something that just said, Hanser has pitched more innings than, and they just mentioned like Danny Duffy and a couple other guys that have been injured since they've been here. Cole Hamels, who never made it.
Yeah.
But he's pitched more innings than all of them because they've got 0. Over 8 games, he's pitched 8 innings. He's faced 36 batters, given up 8 hits, 3 runs, 1 home run, walked 3. He's got a 3.38 ERA and an ERA plus of 129. Now 100 is the average. He's above average.
Yeah.
At 129. If you look at the 2 guys who are closest to him in like innings, or more like batters faced, Michael Grove has faced 47 batters. Garrett Clevenger, has faced 24. Grove has a 90 ERA plus, and Clevenger has a 44 ERA plus. So he's better than both of those guys. And I just took people who had a similar numbers because his ERA plus might be a lot better than somebody who's pitched a lot more innings.
Yeah, and Clevenger is no longer a Dodger, so
Right.
And that's probably a good thing. Yeah, I mean, he has become kind of the secret weapon as a closer.
Yep. So he's been helping out
and he can
there.
go back to back.
Yep. And he's had his moments where he's come through with the bat. He is, if nothing else, he is the biggest cheerleader on that bench.
Oh, yeah. I think he initiated the home run celebration that they now have where they get water dumped on them and they do a little dance. I think he's in charge of that. He's the first one, doing the jet hand, hand signals, whatever they're doing. He's right there.
Yeah, he's very excited and very spirited, and you got to love that.
Yeah.
Which is, the Dodgers need stuff like that. That was one thing that Albert Pujols, he wasn't as dancey in that, but the home run hugs, it kind of changed things. You saw guys genuinely excited when they hit the home run. Not that they weren't before, but they came in there like, where's Albert?
Yeah, I need my hug.
Exactly. And like we said, there were a lot of questions started coming up about the Dodgers when they fell to the Mets. But like we pointed out, it wasn't huge losses. Jacob deGrom, since he's been back, has pretty much been owning everybody. Before he left, he was owning everybody. He's just one of those guys. And they only lost 2-1 there. It's not as if they didn't have a chance. They just weren't able to beat him that night. And the next night, it was mistakes that they made. And yet the first thing we start talking about is which players, should they be on a roster? You sent me the question. Should Bellinger and Max Muncy, who Max has been, we thought he had kind of turned it around, and then he didn't. Does he deserve to be on the postseason roster? Well, probably not if you take him at the numbers he's had overall this season. But who would you replace him with?
Yeah, that's always a question. I mean, defensively, he usually plays third. He has played a little bit of second, but normally mainly third. And defensively, he's been really good.
And you can play him, with the exception of short, you can play him throughout the infield. He can play first base.
Right.
So if something happens with Freddie, he can move right over there. He can play second base. He's played well. And like I said, at third base, he's gotten a lot better as the season has gone.
Yeah, definitely. Because at the beginning, it was like, oh, don't ever put him there. But now, I think he's out there. He's doing the drills, doing what he needs to do. So, and same thing goes with Cody Bellinger. Defensively, he's one of the best in the league. I mean, the catches that he has made. I mean, Trace Thompson is good, but Cody is a little bit, if you look at him, he's a little bit above. So it's kind of like, okay, we need him in the outfield, but maybe he doesn't hit and the pitcher hits. Is that allowed?
Yeah, that's a good question. Can you use the DH for another player?
Yeah. Does it have to be the pitcher?
The thing is that you could have Trace in as well as Cody and Mookie. Trace needs to be playing more than he has been.
Definitely.
But that's the problem. The bats aren't there, but when Cody's in center field, I'm never worried that it's going to be that he's not going to get to a ball, or I'm confident in what he'll do defensively.
Right.
But like you said, we're not confident in what he'll do at the plate.
Yeah, not at all. Not at all confident.
At this point, though, you've got the top three, Mookie, Trey, and Freddie, who are all hitting pretty well. We know Trey and Freddie have been back and forth with the hits lead for MLB. And then things kind of fall apart. They're not solid. And then towards the bottom of the pile, well, Will Smith has been pretty solid. And then you have Gavin Lux has hit pretty well, but he's a defensive liability. Trace, when he's in there, has hit pretty well. The problem is Bellinger, Muncy, Gallo. When you play him, he has a moment here, and then he's bad for a little bit. And
even Chris Taylor has been slumping, but postseason he has probably made, like, the catches he's made, the home run, the plays at the hits that he's had. Postseason, Chris Taylor is who we need, but we don't know if you're going to get him. So
that's the only problem, is not knowing what you're going to get. I think there's a chance that Max and Cody will come up big in a certain place, but you can't count on it.
Yeah.
So you just got to be hoping for the best, expect the worst, hope for the best, and game plan around that.
Right. And one of the things you mentioned, Will Smith, but also Austin Barnes has gotten some key hits and some clutch hits. So for the Dodgers at catcher, I think they're pretty well set, because both of them are hitting well. And I think out of the two, Austin is a better defensive catcher than Will Smith, but he has gotten better. He's gotten a lot better.
He's been on a tear lately and doing well. I don't remember how many games in a row, but he's had a few games in a row with a hit and getting on base. And so he's definitely helping the team. So let's take a look at this week's Player of the Week.
I went with JT. He was 8 for 15, 3 doubles, had a home run, 4 RBIs, hitting .533. I had to go with JT.
No, that's good. His name definitely has been popping up as driving force. I I went with Trace this week. Over 5 games, he hit 273, was 3 for 11, hit a home run, a double, 3 RBIs, and walked 3 times. But he did it right when they needed it. Not just randomly somewhere along the way. He contributed that home run, 3-run shot, put the Dodgers in the lead. Things like that. He's definitely keeping them in the game sometimes.
Yeah, definitely. I was going to mention that going into Will Smith hit, it was 5-4. So the Padres were knocking on the door. Will Smith hit a home run, 6-4. Trace Thompson hit that 3-run home run. He closed the door, and he's done it multiple times.
They may have opened the door, but they had the little chain on there, and they were looking out at him. And then the Padres, like Juan and Manny, were over there. Hey, can me and our friend Cronenworth come in? And Trace came up and went, "Shut that door. I'm not paying to heat the neighborhood or cool the neighborhood." And that was it. So like you said, the Giants and then the Padres, who knows? I think that I read somewhere that all the Dodgers got to do is beat the Giants once, and they're out of the running for the West. They still are in the running to get a spot, a wild card spot, which we know is highly unlikely, but it's there. I'm beginning to think that we're going to have to just leave this new segment title in place. The Silver Lining segment seems to be working.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
The Angels have been broken. But I did notice that with the exception of what happened in Tampa Bay, since the thought of the team being sold, the Angels have kind of found a new life.
Yeah, so, a fresh air.
Right. They get back home after that road trip where they swept the Blue Jays.
Swept them.
And we're thinking about... and we're thinking about what they have ahead of them in the Yankees and the Asterix, and it wasn't as bad as we expected.
Yeah.
Now, to be fair, the Yankees have been slumping. Since the All-Star break, they haven't played as well. And since they got rid of Joey Gallo, I don't know. It's just there's something going on there. The curse of Gallo. The Gallo curse.
It's crazy.
Out of control. So the Angels send Jose Suarez to the mound for the first game. He goes 6 innings, gives up 3 hits, 2 runs, strike out 6. And they go up against a former foe from the Oakland A's, Frankie Montas, who threw 6 innings worth. He gave up 8 hits and 4 runs. Big thing for the Yankees, number 50 for Aaron Judge. And then Anthony Rizzo hit his 29th home run. But the Dodgers continued to play the Padres.
Well, the Angels played the Yankees.
No. So the Angels grabbed some run support. Shohei, of course, Luis Rengifo.
Always.
Geef, as they call him. And Mike Ford, who looks like just he's just a Band-Aid in there because Jared Walsh is out. But he ends up with a home run and a 2-for-3 night, and the Angels beat the Yanks 4-3.
Yeah, despite Aaron Judge hitting number 50 in that game.
Yeah, in spite of that, Mike Trout also 2-for-3. And Matt Dice, who's been filling in a catcher here and there and played some third base at one point, 2-for-3. So I'm wondering what's going on, because it feels like it doesn't, when you see the team, it doesn't necessarily look like that they look different, but they're playing a little differently. So we go to game 2. We see the return of Mike Myers as a starter. He goes 4 innings, but not as good of an outing as he had last time. Gives up 8 hits, 7 runs. All 7 of the Yankees' runs came off of Mike Myers.
And 3 home runs.
Yeah, and 2 of those were Judge and Rizzo, who pretty much lead the American League in home runs. Shohei is close up there in the top with around 30 home runs. And then Adam Benintendi is joins in the group, and he grabs a home run. Jamison Taillon. Now, I'm not real sure what was going on there, and I never really looked far enough to see, but he's a starter, but he only went 2 innings. And I didn't notice if he was out because he got injured or if something happened, but it turned out to be more of a bullpen game for them with that. But despite their best efforts and another home run from Mike Ford, a 2-for-4 night from Shohei Ohtani, and Max Stassi having a decent night with 2 RBIs. Tuki Toussaint coming in to throw 5 innings and give up no runs on 1 hit. So he shut down the Yankees over his time frame. They still lose 7-4, which brings us to the rubber match. That's one we don't say very much.
We don't.
We went after the whole wraparound thing. We hardly even talk about it. May even name the episode after wraparound. And we never talk about the rubber game.
No. But we had one.
We did. And the Angels send Patrick Sandoval, who is probably, really, when you look at it, besides Shohei, is probably their Julio Urias. He's been there every day. He doesn't get a lot of credit, but he goes out there. He's had very few bad outings.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think, too, with the Angels, when you look overall at their pitching, obviously, it's Shohei Ohtani. But then you have Patrick Sandoval. Where are the accolades for him?
No, there's none. He threw 7 innings, gave up 2 runs off of 3 hits, struck out 7, walked 2. And he did this while going up against Garrett Cole, who went 7 as well, gave up 6 hits and 3 runs, struck out only 4. Judge, no home runs this game.
What?
Struck out twice.
Holy cow.
I know, it's crazy. How's he gonna get? He said the other day that his target is the real home run champion, Barry Bonds. For a season, Barry hit 73. He says, if I'm going to shoot for something, that's the number I should shoot for. Right now, he's chasing after Yankees legends just to go up on the Yankees list all time. I think next up, as of the weekend, his next up was A-Fraud.
That wouldn't be hard.
I want to see him get past A-Fraud.
Yeah.
And the bigger one is Albert.
Yeah, that everybody's rooting for him to get past.
To be all alone.
That's
at
it.
Number 4. So Shohei hit number 30 in that game. 3-run homer in the 6th. Fletch, Trout, Geef all had a hit. And Taylor Ward had 2 of them as the Angels take down the Yanks 3-2. The Angels take the rubber game and win the series. The Yankees limp off to play the Tampa Bay Rays, who are trying to unseat the Yankees. And the Angels, they just played the second best team in the American League. Now they got to play the best in the Houston Asterix. And one thing that I got to tell you is every time that Jose Altuve came to bat, the crowd booed him like mercilessly. And when he'd get a hit, he always had a sly little smile on his face. Like, and at that point, I realized I can hate Jose Altuve all I want. And I don't boo him or anything. But it's like, maybe we just stop.
I think you just be quiet. Like,
that's what I say.
Silent.
Crickets.
Yes.
Are even quiet. So quiet that it freaks him out.
Yeah. That's what I would like to see. I think he feeds off of the boos. I think Manny Machado, when he comes to Dodger Stadium, I think he feeds now. I mean, obviously he has struck out and the crowd goes crazy, but he gets booed at Dodger Stadium, and he doesn't care because he's Manny effing Machado. He doesn't care. And I think that's how Jose Altuve is like, look at me, boo me, but I got a hit. I think it would be awesome. Get everybody on board. Just be quiet.
Yeah. You know what, though? There'll be that one person
Always.
who goes, oh, everybody's going to be quiet. I'll take that as my opportunity to let everybody hear me and my big mouth.
Ugh, that person.
Anyway, and it's hard from the standpoint of that I can't stand him, but it's hard not to I don't have to respect it, but I appreciate or at least not even appreciate. I acknowledge that he's not a bad player as much as I want him to be.
Right. Yeah, he is. I mean, when you look at it, it's like, well, decent. Probably a little more than decent, but
he's on track if he can continue on to find himself in the Hall of Fame. It pains me to say that, but he's going to be historically one of the better second basemen in baseball history. And there's just no way around it at this point.
Yeah. I think that they should have a height limit at the Hall.
You can't be inducted if you're this.
Yeah, they have like at amusement parks,
right?
They have that pole, and he has to stand there.
Must be this side for induction.
That's right.
Nice. So with the Asterix in town, the Angels are going to throw Reed Detmers in game 1 of this 3-game series. The Asterix, they counter with McCullers Jr.
Yep.
And that's always a tough one for anybody. The Angels have had a tough time with Lance. Detmers, not a great night. Just goes 4 1/3, gives up 7 hits, 4 runs, strikes out 6. But Lance kind of controls them from his side, and they just weren't able to do a lot. Matt Dice and Matt Duffy, both with RBIs. Trout was 2 for 4, Fletch 2 for 5.
Well, and in this game, you had Reed Detmers on the mound, but he was the one that, he gave up the 4 runs. But after that, the bullpen shut the Astros down. So,
which included Zach Weiss, who made his major league debut in 2018 for the Cincinnati Reds. And on that day, April 12th, to be exact, his one and only major league game, he faced 4 batters. He got no outs, gave up 2 home runs, walked 2, and had a 30 ERA.
Ooh.
He was sent down, maybe released. And so coming into this game, he had a 30 ERA for the last 6 years or 4 years. Sorry, it's 2022. It feels like, wasn't 2020 and 2021 2 years each?
I think yes.
Okay.
Yes. I got an insert for my calendar
to carry on 2020.
Yeah. It was that long. Can you imagine having that hanging over your head? It's like a bad credit rating, and
right.
It's like, nope, you can't buy this, and you get the higher interest rate, whatever, because your ERA is 30 and it's over his head, like those commercials, people walking around.
Right.
And he has that.
He's like, so Zach Weiss comes in, throws an inning and a third. So he actually has innings. So in his career stats, he's thrown 1 1/3 innings because he didn't get any credit for innings pitched because he never got anybody out last time.
Right.
This time over that 1 1/3 innings, he faces 4 batters, retires all 4 batters. So he had the exact opposite of his last appearance. And he brought his ERA down to 27.
Woo! This is a revenge tour.
It is. I'm coming to get you. So that was the silver lining of that game. They took the beating with the 4-2 loss, and that leads to Sweet Night. And what a game it was. This is the one we talked about before. You posted some stuff onto our social media about me being in the suite there.
Yep.
I didn't realize it until later when I was looking back at one of the pictures that the first game, Angels game I ever went to, first pro baseball game I ever went to was 1971. And I was in suite number 71.
So cool.
And it was great to be in there because it was over 100 degrees outside and there was AC in there.
Nice.
Now, once the game started, I was out in the seats that are there. And I went back in and got some food because there was food in the suite. It was very nice in there. The lady, CJ, want to thank CJ who took care of the 2 suites that we had with the folks that all went. Brother-in-law and one of his coworkers, they got together to get the suites figured out. So we had the 2 suites and a bunch of us all there. Honestly, I couldn't have told you who else was there because once the game started, I was pretty locked in on the game.
You're like, I am here by myself with my sweet life.
That's right. I'm enjoying this suite, but for the most part, I might as well just snuck in and I don't know who any of you people are. I'm here to watch a game. Shohei on the mound, and he had, I guess, a normal Shohei kind of night. Goes 8 innings. 8 full innings, gives up 6 hits, 1 run, strikes out 5, throws 111 pitches.
And got his 400th strikeout.
Yeah, career strikeout, number 400. And this game goes to Zinnings because nobody was hitting. Shohei, with the exception of that 1 run he gave up, which all kind of happened early on, he shut them down the rest of the game. They weren't getting anywhere. A smattering of hits throughout because he gave up 6. But he went for the 8. It took Jose Quijada, Jimmy Herget, and Ryan Tepera to finish up the game. They were against TikTok Challenge Dancer of the Year, Luis Garcia, on the mound. If you don't know what I'm talking about, people were making fun of him in the stands, doing his little rockabye baby dance step thing he does. Find him online and check out his windup. But Luis Garcia, giving the Angels a hard time too, goes 7 innings, only gives up 3 hits and a run, strikes out 7. Altuve, 2 hits. It was the 1 run that they got was the DH, JJ Maticevic, and he singled in Trey Mancini, who I'd forgotten was on the Asterix.
Yeah.
And, but it was cool to see him out there playing. But it was not until the bottom of the 12th that Matt Duffy comes to the plate and a fly ball, kind of a short fly ball that caused what you had rightly called and all of us knew was a anticlimactic walk-off hit.
Yeah, it was so confusing. Do we
Mauricio
celebrate?
Dubon, right. Mauricio Dubon comes in, makes a seemingly diving catch, and in the moment, it looks like he could have caught it. The first time they showed a replay, they just went through it quick. It looks like he may have caught it. Mauricio, celebrating.
He's an Astro now.
Yeah, he's got to
put the show on. Yeah, look at me. Holds up his glove. He knew.
And maybe he genuinely thought.
Yeah. maybe.
I don't know. But once they slowed it down, you saw it actually bounce in front of his glove and up and in. And at that point then, but here's the thing, we're all up in the stands going, yeah, what do we do? And then the players had started celebrating on the field. And then there was talk about them reviewing the call.
Yep, doing a challenge.
And I don't know that it was ever officially challenged because the umpires saw what happened up on the big screen and they walked away. I never saw a full challenge, but that doesn't mean it didn't happen.
Yeah, they did challenge the call, and the ump was like, no catch, and that was it. But Matt Duffy's face was like, did I do it? Did I do a good thing? Did I get an RBI? And it's walk off, so they take their jersey, and he's like, no, and they're trying to put water on him. I don't know. It's like, I don't know what to do. It was so weird. But
yeah, it was.
It kind of encompassed the Angels, like that. It seems so fitting.
Yeah. And then they kind of had to be rushed off the field because we went to 12 innings and it's fireworks night.
Yeah.
So we got to get him off the field for that.
No interviews.
And they did get him a Gatorade shower in the post-game interview. He was there.
Oh, nice.
Now, I got to talk about this. So now they've beat, and they so far it's 2 games that they've played the Asterisks competitively. We've talked about the City Connect jerseys or uniforms. They were wearing those on Saturday night.
Yeah.
And it's hard for me because I kind of always root for them to lose when they wear City Connect so that they don't wear them anymore. But it's tough when you're there, and I don't want them to lose. But
no.
The thing that caught me was they have a whole video package of things set up all around City Connect. And we said they had like War and Peace size description of what the uniforms mean.
It was their great expectations of our City Connect.
Right.
Is what it was called.
Yes. Young Pip. Anyway, Magwitch and all those, I remember some of the names. I don't remember everybody. Mrs. Joe Grogery, which is almost like Joe Garagiola was Pip's sister who took him in when his parents passed away.
That puts a whole new spin on that book.
Well, I went back and I read like the first few pages of it because you can get it free off of, I have an iPad and you can get it free out of the Apple bookstore. So I started trying to read it again and it was like, oh, this isn't so bad there, but I'm sure I'm going to hit that same wall again when I start wondering what an insubordinate clause was or is. I once said in class, it's an unruly elf. To which I was asked to leave class. How am I going to learn?
You never came back.
Yeah, exactly.
But City Connect, they wore them, they win.
Apparently. But they have a whole video that I'm sure it was just a few minutes long, but it felt like an hour of all this. And there's great scenery. And then there's players, one on a beach looking out into the water. They've got them or they're showing a highlight, but it's all about the City Connect. And every couple of innings, something about City Connects. And then when they come up, instead of having the normal video thing with the player's face and maybe they're swinging the bat or they're pointing at the screen or whatever, they've got the ocean and a beach and then the player and the way that it's written on the screen, their names are, it's just, I think I sent you a picture. That was that. So it was like, they're still overdoing the City Connects. Give it a break.
Yeah, we don't need that.
No, we don't. So we head to game number 3, also known as
the rubber match.
Yes. Very good. And unfortunately for the Angels, we sent Tucker Davidson to the mound. The Asterix sent another pitcher who is looking good this season for them, Jose Urquidy, who, once again, 7 innings, 4 hits, 0 runs, 8 strikeouts. Tucker Davidson, 6 1/3. So he ate up some innings. Gave up 7 hits, 7 runs, struck out 4. 2 of those were home runs. 1 of those to the midget, and 1 of them to Kyle Tucker, who is like the opposite. There was a cartoon back in the day called Mutt and Jeff, and Mom would call me and one of my friends who was shorter. So you guys are like Mutt and Jeff, except for the fact that Jeff was the short one.
Yeah.
Mutt was it. But Altuve and Tucker could be Mutt and Jeff, except that I don't want Altuve to be Jeff.
No. No way.
Nope. In fact, I think that the best Jeff, aside from me, did you see the movie Finch that was on Apple TV
Yes.
with Tom Hanks?
Yes.
And he builds a robot.
Yeah. His name's Jeff.
And the robot eventually says, he goes, "You need a name." And he first picks a name like a dog's name. He goes, no, that's a dog's name. He goes, "Well, what are you thinking?" And he goes, "I think Jeff."
Yes.
I don't know where he came up with it. There's not really. It's just from whatever was loaded in that Tom Hanks loaded into his memory. That is a good Jeff right there.
Yes.
Anyway, the Angels just couldn't put anything together. It's a 9-1 thumping by the Asterix. They have Mike Trout to thank for the 1 run, hit his 29th. Tukey Toussaint finds himself on the mound for an inning and 2/3, 1 hit, 2 strikeouts. It's Jose Marte who provides the other runs in the to go to the 7 they already had. Jose Marte gives them 2 more for that 9-1 win. Yordan Alvarez is the only game that he played out of the series. 1 for 4 with 2 RBIs, and David Hensley, who was playing third base in Bregman's place, went 2 for 4 and 2 RBIs to finish the series. With the exception of that last game, they were very competitive with the Asterix. And I think that over the last couple weeks, we've seen them on just an uptick. Can they continue it? Don't know. They have Detroit coming in before they have to go to Houston and start a decently length road trip. They're going to be kind of like the Dodgers going forward. A lot of AL West teams. However, they still have the Guardians and the Twins coming up. And they very well could cause issues for the AL Central, because those 2 teams, along with the White Sox now, who's sneaking back in and are getting healthy at the right time. And while their manager is not healthy, they're getting healthy. And they could cause a big issue with the AL Central if they play well and can beat Cleveland and Minnesota. But they got to get through Detroit and Houston first. Silver Linings Award this week. Who you got?
I went with Shohei Ohtani. I know it's probably like, it's a cop-out, but every game he had a hit except for the Sunday game. He was 0 for 4, but he was 300 between the 2 series, had 5 RBIs, 2 home runs, and on top of that, he pitched 8 innings, had 5 strikeouts, and looked really dominant on the mound too. There was at least 1 or 2 times where he knew it was a strike and he just started walking off the mound. I love that.
Yep. That kind of swagger. You're going to love it. And it's kind of interesting. People have been pointing out that if you go to the Angels stat page the leader in every category, pitching and batting.
Yeah.
Shohei Ohtani. I went a little different direction because we know I don't blame you for that. He can be the MVP almost every game. Mike Trout seems to be kind of working himself back into that as well. But I'm going to give my SLA this week, Silver Linings Award. The SLA is going to go to two people. One, CJ, our sweet hostess. I don't know what else to call her. She was doing the food and beverage and was very nice and made sure we had lots of great food and that it was all presented as it should be. And then I'm going to also give it to Matt Duffy for that walk-off hit because he really made something happen there, and I got to give it to him. And he's probably not going to see it again, before the end of the season. All right, Jana, let's hop in the dugout car, take a little spin around baseball, see what we see if the neighbors cut their grass yet. We should have
here, no.
HOA. We should be like the head of the MLB HOA.
All right. I like that.
That would be all right. We just go from stadium to stadium.
With our rulers.
Nitpicky about everything. As we talked about last week, it's time for call-ups. And I think I mentioned earlier, I was wrong. There are 2 more roster spots for starting September 1st for the remainder of the season. So that means a lot of teams are starting to finish up their seasons. You'll see minor league teams in their playoffs or not. And those players will start going off to like Arizona Fall League or other places where they're going to play out the rest of the year. The Angels Single A Club, the Inland Empire 66ers, have assured themselves of the first winning record since 2007.
Wow.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So they've got that. Rancho Cucamonga finishing. They, at that point, still had enough games as of the weekend that they could drop below 500. But if they win out, they'll do that. Oklahoma City looks like they're going to finish in first in the Pacific Coast League. Salt Lake City, the Angels team, in third. AA teams, Tulsa will finish in second place in the Southern League. The Texas League. And Rocket City been the gem of the Angels. If there's a silver lining, it's the Trash Pandas. They have played very well. They'll end up in first in their league, the Southern League, in the AA at 75-51 as of the weekend. We know a couple things. Miguel Vargas scored 100 runs to lead all of AAA in runs as of Sunday. And we know he's not going to get any more down at AAA because he got called up. Jason Martin, another Dodger farmhand, 30 home runs and 102 RBIs at AAA. You know who led AAA in batting average? Out of all the AAA players in all the leagues, Pacific Coast League, International League.
James Outman.
No. Nice guess, but no. This guy also had 17 home runs over 91 games. He batted .328 while he was down on the farm, but then he got called up as a major leaguer, Wynton Bernard.
Oh, hey. Yeah, I like that.
So he grabs that batting title, it looks like, for AAA, and hopefully for him, he can figure out how to do that up at the major league level and have a whatever's left of his career he can have up there and playing next to like Charlie Blackmon and CJ Cron and all those guys. All right, before we start talking about what's going on around the league, as now it's time to really start watching the standings. A lot of these games, especially when we're into this point, we talked about how many games that the Dodgers have against their own division on the way out. They only have one series against a non-NL West team. Will it really matter a lot if they clinch early? Well, some of these other ones we're going to see maybe go down to the wire. But before we get to that, we got a whole mess of players of the week, of the month, of the mound, of the bullpen, of the groundskeeper of the week and the month, and sweet hostesses of the month, and all of that stuff. So we better get started.
Yeah, there's a lot. We're going to start with players of the week, and that would be Zach Gallen of the Diamondbacks and Xander Bogaerts of the Boston Red Sox.
I got to say, before you go on, I've mentioned before that every day I get an email from Baseball Reference, and it talks about the top performances of the day before. And I've started to notice Zach Gallen's name popping up. And he's a pitcher. He doesn't pitch all the time, but it felt like it was every day I was seeing Zach Gallen or Merrill Kelly. Those two kept popping up. And I kept thinking, I wonder if Zach Gallen, when I saw his name, when I saw that he won this, I thought, of course he did. He's been top performer every day. Every
day. He's taking a cue from Tim Anderson, and he's just every day.
He's on the mound. He's even pitching when the opposing team's on.
Yeah.
The field. He's that good.
And then when he's pitching, it's like, who's up in the bullpen? Zach Gallen.
Zach Gallen's up. Yeah. Zach Gallen not only pitched a complete game, but he qualified for the save.
That's right.
Because he replaced himself in the ninth.
Yeah. Well, he pitched twice last week. He tossed 7 scoreless innings versus the Phillies, and then he pitched 7 scoreless innings and a win over the Brewers. He allowed 2 hits, 1 walk, and recorded 7 strikeouts to be named player of the week. And then Xander Bogaerts went 15 for 31, 536 batting average, 7 games. He had 2 hits in the first 6 games of the week before finishing the week with 3 hits, 2 RBIs versus the Rangers. He's recorded multiple hits in 9 consecutive games, and his best game was when he hit a grand slam in a win over the Twins and had 5 RBIs in that game. So he is going to be free agent, so he's getting those numbers, racking them up.
And if the Red Sox don't re-sign him, because he's really, I think, the face of the Red Sox right now.
Oh, yeah.
Then they're bigger dummies. What's his name? Keim up there? Keim Bloom?
Yeah.
He'll need to be fired if they can't re-sign him.
Well, but right now, he's going to be re-signed along with Alex Cora.
Well, good.
So he could be fired after they re-sign him to a contract. Yeah.
Okay. Awesome.
You never know what could happen. I mean, people get mad, and like, who do they look for? We saw that with the Rangers. Was like the manager goes, and
I didn't mention it, but the Angels, kind of with their surge, also have the Rangers to thank for them being back in 3rd place instead of being 4th place.
Yeah,
because Oakland, they race to the bottom, and they are challenging teams to lose to them to take over that spot. You go ahead and think you're taking this. It's like you get to the top. Will you challenge people from the top of the hill? No, they're at the bottom, and they're like, we challenge you to get us out of last place.
Yeah, they had to do something. They still haven't called us about the Red Solo Cup. I just cannot believe that.
Just
that losers. But all right, well, let's go to the players of the month.
That is a promotion that just keeps on giving, and I think they're missing out.
They really are. I think we need to keep pushing it. Players of the month: Alex Bregman and Nolan Arenado. Alex Bregman loves August. He must, because the last time he won American League Player of the Month was in August of 2019. He entered last month with a 773 OPS on the season, but he had a 362 batting average. He had 7 homers, 9 doubles, 17 walks, 22 RBIs, 27 runs scored in 27 games during the month. And he had, in their 21-5 win over the White Sox, He had 2 home runs and 2 doubles. The 2 third basemen here got Alex Bregman. We switch over to the Cardinals, Nolan Arenado, who was the National League Player of the Month for April. And he posted a 365 average, 9 home runs, 12 doubles, 29 RBIs, a 1.139 OPS over 27 games. And he is the first Cardinals player to win multiple Player of the Month awards in a single season since Albert Pujols did it in 2009. I thought you knew I was going to say like in 1801.
That's what I was looking for. But then I thought, wait, I don't think the Player of the Week or month goes back that far.
No.
But I wouldn't have been surprised since 1953.
And here's a surprise for you. We got pitchers of the month, and a Rays right-hander Drew Rasmussen, and a guy that we really haven't heard a lot about, Diamondbacks ace Zach Gallen. He has been named pitcher of the month. He's everywhere. But let's look at Drew Rasmussen's month. He came within 3 outs of a perfect game against Baltimore. Instead, he had to settle for allowing 1 run on 1 hit over 8 1/3 innings. He followed that up by taking a no-hitter into the 6th versus the Royals 6 days later. He posted a 1.57 ERA with 33 strikeouts, only 4 walks over 34 1/3 innings last month. And the Rays won 5 of his 6 starts, and they are 17-6 with him on the mound this season. And then what do we need to say about Zach Gallen? He's pitcher of the month and player of the week. That's it. No.
Player of the week, pitcher of the month.
Hot dog vendor. Pool attendant. That is what he's been doing.
When he's not on the mound, he's
handing out towels at the pool. He's
taking care of that. He's the towels and kind of the lifeguard and probably security, making sure that the Dodgers don't find their way back out there whenever they happen to be in town.
Yep, I think so.
Why does it feel like that the Dodgers have played like the Giants a lot and the Rockies a lot, but it doesn't feel like they played the Diamondbacks that much?
I know, it's weird. We know they played them, but it's like unforgettable, the games, I guess.
Or completely forgettable, obviously.
Yeah, not unforgettable. Yeah, they were forgettable. Yeah, definitely. Well, he allowed only 3 runs over his 6 starts during the month. They all came in his first outing. And since August 2nd, he's put up nothing but zeros on the scoreboard. He is carrying a 34 1/3 scoreless inning streak into the month of September, the second longest scoreless streak in franchise history.
All I hear in my head now is like the Natalie Cole, Nat King Cole, when they kind of mixed them up for Unforgettable. All I can hear in my head is so forgettable.
Oh, right.
That's what they were. So forgettable. D-backs and Dodgers. Okay.
He won 5 of his 6 August starts. He recorded a .75 whip, a 1.54 opponent's batting average, and struck out 44 hitters in 40 innings. So that brings us to relievers of the month, and that would be
Zach Gallen.
No, Mr. Narco, I don't know if we should call him that, Mets right-hander Edwin Diaz, who has a whole choreographed production. The camera's on him. They follow him out. It's really cool, really. But I don't know, kind of let it go is growing on me.
I think that you have to grab those moments and make something big of them when you can.
Oh, yeah.
And if you're getting the trumpet guy at whatever, Timmy the trumpeter, whatever his name is.
And the thing is that guy, I didn't know anything about it, but he's Australian. He'd never been to a baseball game before, and which is good that his first baseball game was not in Australia with Josh Reddick playing. It was in Citi Field, and he's a Mets fan for life now. But so that's kind of cool. But yeah, it's Mets right-hander Edwin Diaz has been named the National League Reliever of the Month. And this is his 3rd straight win And Guardians right-hander Emmanuel Clase has earned American League honors for the second time this season. Diaz has been named reliever of the month 8 times, 5 in the AL, 3 in the NL since the award was established in 2017. It's the most of any pitcher. He went 6 for 6 in save chances, and he struck out 16 batters while allowing only 1 run over 10 and 2/3 innings in August. We saw him against the Dodgers. So I can attest to what he was doing in the month of August. And then Class A, he converted all his 7 saves chances during the month, and he recorded a .79 ERA, 12 strikeouts, no walks. He earned June honors this season, and this is the August. Rookies of the month, starting pitcher, Zach Gallen. George Kirby of the Seattle Mariners has been voted the American League Rookie of the Month for August, and outfielder Michael Harris, the second of the Atlanta Braves, been voted for the National League Rookie of the Month. George Kirby made 5 starts for the Mariners, compiling a perfect 4-0 record to go along with a 2.15 ERA. He logged 34 strikeouts while permitting 3 walks and 30 hits over 29 in a 3rd innings pitched. And then Michael Harris, the second, batted .337, 22 runs scored, 12 doubles, 4 home runs, 15 RBIs, 5 stolen bases, and a .589 slugging percentage over 27 games played. And he has also been awarded, I think it was before Julio Rodriguez, not as big, but the Atlanta Braves also gave him an extension. So he will be in Atlanta for a while.
I remember hearing about that one, but yeah, it wasn't anywhere near what Julio got. And all these guys are guys that are on contending teams right now. They're all fighting for playoff spots. Cleveland is starting to see their pitching come around, and when you've got a bullpen you can count on, it kind of helps when your starters are out there. Speaking of which, we have one of the Cleveland starters we're going to have to talk about in a little bit. In the meantime, you're seeing Bieber is kind of regaining some of his form, and Cleveland has been holding on more or less back and forth with the Twins, the top spot of the American League Central. They're just a half a game apart as of Sunday the 4th. You know, things are going to change. And then the White Sox somehow all of a sudden, after being like 8 or 9 games back, are about 2 games back and threatening to come in. And they're really threatening because they got a lot of players coming back from injuries. And then, of course, you got Dylan Cease, 1 out away from throwing a no-hitter the other night, and gives up that hit, and boom, it was over. Another one, you mentioned Braves. They are poised to take over the Mets,
which we saw last season, wasn't it? But it was like the Mets, the Phillies, the Braves, and it was just a crazy right at the end. And it's happening
Braves
again.
Turned it on, and it looks like, it does look like it's going to happen again. They have 3 more games head-to-head this season. So whoever wins out on that at least puts themselves in a position, especially with tiebreakers and stuff like that, to probably, take out the other one. Phillies and then the Nats are on both of their schedules. So we'll see how that plays out. St. Louis is surging. Part of that is just they've been a pretty good team all season. Albert Pujols, who is on the verge of passing A-Fraud. He's got, 25 games or so left. So depending on how he hits and how they use him, he does have a shot at 700, which is what I'd like to see. And I'd be more than happy if he hit it versus the Dodgers on the night that was there, as long as they just hit one and it's him who hits it.
Yeah, I think even Dodger fans would be excited for that. I know they would be.
Well, I think anybody at some point, if he's close, everywhere he goes is going to start seeing. It's like the home run chase in 98. You're going to have that same feel about them going after the home run record. He's gonna have that because be like last chance to see him play but I could be there when he hits 700, depending on where he's at.
Right. Yeah.
So they pretty much pushed Milwaukee around and pushed them down. Milwaukee right now is 8.5 games back. The Cards still have 4 games versus Milwaukee, but they have like 9 games versus Pittsburgh, I think it is. So that's going to help a lot. The Yankees, we talked about versus Tampa Bay. As of Sunday, they have a 5.5 game lead on the Rays. 3 more head-to-head games, and they have also got 3 with Toronto, who's trying to knock them off as well. Tampa Bay and Toronto are the leading teams for the wild card, along with Seattle. Seattle's actually the number 1, followed by Tampa Bay, and then Toronto. Baltimore, 3.5 games out of the wild card. Minnesota, 6 out. When we go to the National League wild card, Atlanta, 10.5 games up on San Diego. San Diego's a half game up on Philadelphia. Milwaukee, 2.5 out. And San Francisco, next in line at 8 games out. So unless Milwaukee turns it on and Philadelphia or the Padres fall apart, it looks like we may see that set that either Atlanta or New York, the Mets, will be the wild card. A couple of things that just basic notes. We might be seeing the MLB draft lottery, which had been discussed before. It'll be discussed during the winter meetings, and kind of like what the NBA does. You, depending on your record, the bottom guys all get a chance at high draft picks, but they have more chances, but everybody's in on the lottery to a point. And that'll be interesting to see what kind of effect that has on the draft coming up. We also saw that over 500 minor league players voted for the union. So now MLBPA has gone to MLB, said, hey, are you just going to accept this, or do we have to go, are you going to dispute this? What's going on? And no word back from MLB on that last night. Have you heard anything?
I have not. The only thing I've heard is I think the MLBPA has teamed up with the AFL-CIO to get this union going. But yeah, MLB has not come out with their response.
I'm sure that they would rather it not. And then Owen Poindexter, you can find him on Twitter at Owen Poindexter from Front Office Sports, had a little blurb that MLB is starting the process to try to figure out how to get in-market streaming going. But as we've talked about in the past, one of the biggest problems is that the regional sports networks have a hold on all of it. And like Bally Sports has Bally Sports West, Midwest, East, South Central, or whatever. Bally Sports, Turkmenistan. I don't know. They've got them all over the place. And they've started their own streaming app with Bally's Plus. So you can watch games and get other content through them, and they own the rights to it. You would think MLB would have more control over that, but nope. These guys have the contracts on it, and they don't want people to have in-market streaming. So between MLB, who've been dumb all these years, and now fighting with the regional sport network, or like the Dodgers have their own channel, it's going to make it even harder for that to happen, to put an end to blackouts. A couple other things until we find our way onto the wheel. Spencer Strider, rookie pitcher for the Braves, 16 strikeouts over 8 innings versus the Rockies. And you would think that wouldn't be a record. That would just be an amazing feat. But he is now the Atlanta Braves single game strikeout leader.
Wow. And you think about the guys that have pitched for Atlanta.
Well, John Smoltz held the record before at 15. Warren Spahn, Hall of Famer, he had 15. He actually pitched a 15-inning game and had 18 strikeouts, which to me is more impressive.
Yeah.
But 18. He goes complete game, 15-inning game. But no, it's Spencer Strider and the Stash-tastic. He's taking that over.
Yeah, no more pearls. It's all about the stash in Atlanta. A couple of things here. We talked about the Red Sox, and they have signed a 1-year contract extension with Kike Hernandez.
Yep.
And so it guarantees him $10 million for the 2023 season. He was going to hit free agency, but he'll bypass that and he'll stay in Boston for a third season. And this one always amazes me that he is still there, but the Diamondbacks announced that they have exercised a club option for the 2023 season for manager Torey Lovullo. So he'll return for the 7th season as Arizona's manager. Prior to the 2017 season, well, that's when he was signed. It was his first year as a bench, as the manager, and he went 93-69, defeated the Rockies in the wild card game before falling to the Dodgers in the NLDS, and that was it. That was that's the highlight of Torey Lovullo's career.
There is the Lovullo way, and they bought into it.
Obviously.
Some of it, I think, and I want to touch on this in a little bit, but we'll do a couple other things before, but sometimes the blame gets misplaced. And he's had issues. There's been injury issues. There's stuff like that. He's had a poorly constructed roster.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Zach Gallen is doing well. Is any part of that connected to the leadership of Terry Lovullo?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it just, when you look at guys who have been let go and he's still hanging on, they're still hanging on. Now, this is, they picked up the option. They haven't signed him to an extension or anything like that. So, they might be, this could be his last season, or next season could be his last season with the Diamondbacks. We'll see. But if they don't give him an extension, but that one just came out at me, was like, really? Okay. It's going to be a 7th season as Arizona's manager.
Well, the one thing that I guess he never has to worry about being the manager is that he will never end up on the wheel. Oh,
the wheel is crowded, and hopefully people don't fall off and get re-injured and get back on the wheel. Jake Odorizzi, he's listed as day-to-day with arm fatigue. Eric Hosmer is on the 10-day IL with back issues, and he's not expected to be activated before season's end. And I don't think he's played any games with Boston since being traded. But yeah, so he's hanging out there, and he's been hanging out there. Right-handed pitcher Tanner Houck will have back surgery. That is not the news that the Red Sox wanted, but he is out for the season. Wilson Contreras is listed as day-to-day with an ankle injury. Another guy, Mike Moustakas, he loves to spin. He was on the 10-day. He has now been moved to the 60-day IL with a calf injury. And Chris Bryant. Let's talk about Chris Bryant. He is still spinning, has been spinning for a long time. No definitive, return for him. So this first year in Colorado has really been a bust. He had back issues. He played a little bit, and then he had something going on with his foot. And so I think he's out of a walking boot, but he's still not doing baseball activities. So he's still spinning around. Zach Plesac. This guy, he must have very delicate fingers, delicate hands. He broke his finger after punching the ground after giving up a home run versus the Mariners. If you remember last year, he fractured his thumb when he aggressively took off his shirt in the clubhouse.
Right.
So it's like, what is up with this guy? But
Mr. Glass.
yeah, exactly. Jose Iglesias of the Rockies is day-to-day with a sore left hand. It is going to require an MRI. This is a guy who has been out, it seems like, for most of the season, and he's going to miss the rest of the season. And this is Austin Meadows with the Tigers. He's been dealing with soreness in his left and right Achilles. He started a rehab. He suffered a setback. And with all of this been going on, he came out and, the Tigers, like, he's not coming back for the season, needs to get right. He wrote a note to the fans and said, I love playing. I had these injuries. And in the midst of this, I'm also having some mental health issues. And so very open about that, which I think is important. I think that's something we don't talk enough about. So, well wishes to Austin Meadows that he will get the recovery time that he needs and be back for the Tigers in spring training. Justin Verlander had mentioned last week he was day-to-day, but now he is on the 15-day IL with a sore calf. So we'll see how that works for him. Gavin Lux is listed as day-to-day with back and neck strain. I mentioned David Price. He is on the 15-day IL with a sore wrist, but he does plan to pitch during, at some point before the season ends and hopefully in the postseason. Anthony Rizzo has had back issues. He was on the IL, comes off the IL. He gets an epidural and then is now on the 10-day IL with migraine headaches. So they don't know if it's from the epidural or if it's something else, but he can't play until the migraines are taken care of. And if you've ever had a migraine, they're horrible. They cause crazy stuff and not good to be on a ball field. Matt Carpenter, he's been spinning on the IL for a while. He was like gangbusters with the Yankees. They were hoping to get him back, but his progress has been slow. X-rays have showed healing, but not a lot of healing. He's still in a walking boot. He's going to be reevaluated in 2 weeks, so he's going to keep spinning. Andrew Benintendi is going to have wrist surgery, and he is out for the season. Zach Britton was on a rehab start after being on the IL with an elbow injury. While he was on the rehab start, he suffered a glute injury, so he is back on the IL. Brandon Drury of the Padres had a concussion, so he's on the 7-day IL. Will Myers is day-to-day with neck issues. Austin Slater of the Giants is on the 10-day with a dislocated finger. And Brandon Belt had mentioned that he was day-to-day, but he is now, and because he wanted to get a second opinion, he's now on the 60-day IL because he had knee surgery after getting the second opinion. So he is out for the season. Alex Wood is on the 15-day IL with shoulder impingement. Miguel Cabrera has a bicep injury. Jorge Polanco with a knee injury. Shane McClanahan of the Rays has shoulder injury. Starling Marte is listed as day-to-day, but I'm pretty sure he's going to be hopping on the wheel because he has been diagnosed with a partial non-displaced fracture of the middle finger on his right hand. He was hit by a 96-mile-per-hour fastball. Dylan Carlson sprained left thumb, and I saved these last two. Nick Castellanos, 10-day IL with oblique. And wait, Max Scherzer, 15-day IL with an oblique injury.
Oblique, oblica, omasa, oh. My side. Is that what it was? An oblique? It wasn't just, what did he say? Left side fatigue?
Yeah, it's always fatigue with him. We saw that when he played with the Dodgers during the postseason. He had fatigue. I'm like, really? You got fatigue? Okay, whatever, Max. But yes, it has been official. It is left side oblique.
Awesome. I mean, you weren't kidding. There was a lot going on there.
It's like
It's
overcrowded.
crazy.
You're gonna have to get another will.
Really? I'm wondering how many of those guys, though, it'll just at some point become like, hey, there's just no reason to come back this season. Just shut it down and carry on. Let some of these other guys come up and play that weren't necessarily scheduled to play, and go from there. Now, I wanted to bring up, before we get to the close here, and we have a feel-good story. This I wanted to bring up. It just popped up. Jason Stark, who is a writer for The Athletic. He is also a Baseball Hall of Fame writer, and he's got a podcast called Starkville. He had Joe Madden on. Now, Joe Madden has made no bones about that he didn't like the way things happened when he was released. It was a surprise that he hasn't been watching baseball. He's been playing a lot of golf. But there was a conversation that they had with him on the podcast, and I took a little time to listen to it. And it brought up some points that I kind of alluded to earlier about where blame is placed sometimes, how things are. Now, Joe Madden, if you remember, he and Andrew Friedman worked together in Tampa.
Yeah.
And Joe Madden's not a non-analytics guy. He's been a very forward-thinking guy, and he likes the analytics. He goes, I want all the information. The players don't need all the information. He says there's guys that are dressing in the clubhouse that are analytics. They're from the analytics department. They don't belong in there. He says it's an imposition the way that they do it. And that we're having these long meetings before games about all this information. He goes, they just need to go out. The players just need to go out and play. You go in and sit down with me. You sit down. He kept mentioning Mike Gallegos, who was his bench coach or his defensive coach when he was there with the Angels. He goes, you talk to him about those things. He teaches the players. And he just thinks that there's too much of that in there, that the game's not being played because it's too much. And it reminded me too, Freddie Freeman saying, let's get away from this. Let's watch the game. Let's be in the game. And having the coaches talk through and play about defensive positioning, Joe Madden used to do all that by himself before there was whole analytics departments. He's not against it. But it really came out to be that the reason the game is going where it is because they're too over the top, and you've got analytics departments that are taking over and making the managers implementers. Yeah. They call them middle managers. I call them implementers because that's all they're doing. You come down, they got a game plan, you follow it. That's what you're going to do. And you're not letting the guys who have been doing this. He'd have some guy who's maybe never even played baseball, and they're telling him how to use the bullpen. He goes, I've only been doing this for 40 years. I think I have an idea. You give me the numbers, I'll figure out what to do with them. And I think that's the big key right there, is that it gets too much. And when the Dodgers, the one thing I've seen like with the Dodgers is that when they're too into that, that's when things start to crumble. We saw them look like they were on the edge of disaster and not be. And some of that has to be that they're playing the game, not reading about it on an iPad in between innings. Yeah. And I think, Joe Madden made the point too. He's like, you weren't going to see guys going into Billy Martin's office. Could you imagine? Right. And telling him what to do. Yeah, any of those, Earl Weaver, Sparky Anderson, any of those guys, it wasn't going to happen. And now they think they can. And he said misplaced blame. He goes, He goes, those numbers are great, but talent acquisition is your job. And those numbers play into all that. And we need those numbers, but not the way you're giving them. If you put together a team of great players, those numbers mean more than they do if you've got a bunch of not great players. And then the coaches all get blamed because the team's losing, even though it was a bad roster control.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, especially if you're playing matchups, which we've seen, and then you bring the guy in that's supposed to be the good matchup. You're not seeing it as much because you've got that 3 batter rule now, which is good, but you still kind of see it, and if it doesn't work out, who gets blamed? It's the manager, it's coaching staff, because
clearly
the people who told them, hey, in this situation, when you got a lefty or you got a righty or whatever, you got to bring this guy in. They're not there to take the blame. And really, it's like, I get the analytics, but also how much of this is going into players' heads?
That's it.
Look at we talked about Cody Bellinger. I think he's a perfect example of a player that is in his head. He's playing well defensively, but at the plate, he's lost. And you can tell there's a difference when he's out in the field and when he's at bat, and there's something going on there. And how much of that is the analytics that are constantly being filtered through.
Right. And they're right there in their faces. He says they just need nuggets, is what Joe said. They need nuggets of information, not a dissertation.
Exactly.
And that's what they're getting. They're getting inundated with it. And it's not everybody is able to, roll through it all and still play their game. And I think you see it across the board on every team in how that it's being, rolled out there and how it's being administrated. He called it an imposition. He goes, if we could change that, that would be great. But he says, I don't see it changing anytime soon. That's just the way baseball's going right now. One last thing before we go, a little happy story. So we talked about Wynton Bernard and his journey. The other day, a guy named Fernando Cruz, who had 500 plus minor league games, 200 plus games in other countries, 32 years old, finally hits the major leagues, throws 1 inning in relief, gets 2 strikeouts and a fly ball in the 3 batters that he faced. Finally getting some big league stat.
Yeah. And I got to mention this because you're going to love this one. He was the oldest Reds player to make his big league debut since 38-year-old lefty pitcher outfielder Pat Scantlebury, who pitched versus the Cardinals on April 19th, 1956.
1956. Oh, man, that's not that long ago. I was waiting for 1898. That would have been, and it could have happened because Cincinnati is the oldest National League team or major, professional baseball team.
Yeah, and the thing about Fernando Cruz, he was a position player when he was drafted, and he comes in, makes his major league debut, and gets his first strikeout. So just
sweet.
Yeah, love to see it.
All right, watch out over there, Jenna. We're rolling out the tarp. Time to put an end to this episode of Sibling Rivalry Baseball Podcast. Before we go, I do have to say this before we tell you where to find us on social media. Last week, you mentioned a contract extension for Tyler Glasnow. And for the life of me, when you said it, it didn't register who Tyler Glasnow was. All of a sudden, I'd forgotten about the Rays pitcher. He's been injured, so he's not really been played. I didn't even think about that they would give him an extension.
Yeah, but they did.
And I don't know. I haven't seen him in so long that I kind of forgot about him. And it wasn't until later that I was sitting there thinking, in my head, I was thinking, Tyler Glasnow. Why? What Tyler? Oh, right. What in the world?
Yeah, well, he's going to be starting a rehab assignment in Durham. So we will see how that pans out for him, as he has already put the ink on that extension, and see where he goes from there. But yeah.
All right. Well, if
was
you're
that?
listening, Tyler, sorry, I forgot who you were. And if you're not listening, why aren't you listening?
Tell your friends, tell a stranger, tell the cashier
Tell
when you
anybody.
buy your big soda in the morning.
Exactly. You'll get that big gulp. Let them know.
That's right.
You know what? When you're driving through, and you know how people will buy the car behind them, like coffee or whatever, or something in the drive-through, also say, look, part of me buying this for you is you're going to listen to the Sibling Rivalry Baseball podcast.
That's it.
And don't forget to check us out on social media. We got Twitter at Sibling Rivalry BB without the A.
And on Instagram and Facebook at Sibling Rivalry BB with the A. We also have a website, siblingrivalrybb.com, where you can click on those Fanatics links of NFL football starting this week. I got a jersey, and now that jersey is the wrong colors, but that's okay. Click on that. If that happened to you with your favorite quarterback, click on the Fanatics link. And also postseason, gear is going to start ramping up. So click on those links. Help SRBB out.
Next week, we will continue to talk about the playoff race. Has anything changed? Have any teams swapped places? You won't know unless you talk to us next week. You listen in next week. I mean, there are no other options. It's not like you can watch ESPN because they don't care about baseball. They won't give you what's really going on. They'll tell you who won and lost, but they won't give you a break. MLB TV, most people can't even get that. So we are easily available on all your favorite podcast platforms, and we'll tell you what's going on with the playoff race. We'll do that next week, as well as follow up on the silver linings of the rest of the Angels season. And did the Dodgers clinch, or do they still have a little bit to go? All that and more on the Sibling Rivalry Baseball podcast. See you next week. And don't forget to swing away.